Great.
1978 was the most competitive season ever. Division races were tight, no longer dominated by a single team.
NFL football. Nothing better than Big John Facenda. Great voice. And the writing, priceless. Here on Telling Like It Is, Dave Scholler, NFL Week 2, 2022. Just a couple of thoughts from last week. Again, a constant theme today is just coaches trying to be the smartest guys in the room. It's not enough to just win the game. It's about trying to do some crazy crap to win. A bunch of teams last week had first and goal on about the foot-yard line, and then University of Cal tried it today, where they go out of the gun. You're a foot away. Why go for the gun and now be 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage? Just totally insane. And didn't work for the Broncos the other night. I mean, just the worst clock managed game I've ever seen in my life. There's 3 timeouts left in Russell Wilson from the 47-yard line. Down a couple of points there, and he lets the play clock expire pretty much. He calls the timeout at 1 second. Just awful. You don't like to fire guys after 1 week, but that's some of the worst clock management you ever seen. I'm a Viking fan, so I've seen some bad clock management with Childress and Zimmer. Just atrocious clock management. And I have a Bronco fan at work, and they were not happy about it. But four big favorites lost last week, and a lot of phony teams and a lot of pressure on some of these phony teams coming up this week. Point spreads. Browns are favored over the Jets by 6.5. They're at home. The Lions, for a change, are favored. It's been over 20 games since the Lions have been favored. They're favored by 1.5 over the Skins, which is kind of a weird spread. I guess the Lions offense last week putting up all those points. Bucks are favored by 2.5 on the road against the Saints. Even though Tom Brady has never beaten the Saints as a Buck. We'll get to that later. Giants are favored by 2.5 over the Panthers at home here in New York. Giant fans will be talking Super Bowl in 5 minutes. Pats favored by 1 over the Steelers. Kind of a weird spread. I know Watt is out, but the Pats looked bad last week. I know they lost on a couple of plays, but still a couple of bad turnovers. Colts favored by 4.5 over the Jags. That makes sense, although the Colts it's getting late in the game for Coach Reich. Ravens 3.5 over the Dolphins. Rams 10.5 over the Falcons. Niners 8.5 over the Hawks. Bengals 6.5 over the Boys. Broncos 10.5 over the Texans. Raiders 3.5 over the Cards. Pack 9.5 over the Bears. Bills 9.5 over the Titans. And the Eagles 2.5 over my Vikings. Chris Carter, by the way, he does catch touchdowns. Not change it now. Played a great game last week. But you read about that on Vikings Weekly, I heard, or you listened to it, one or the other. But you see the schedule on the board there. And the first game was the Chargers in Kansas City. And the Chargers, the pick 6 down on the goal line basically is the story of the game. You're not recovering from that. And the Chiefs look better than advertised so far. So they're 2-0. Off to a good start, and already in first place in their division. Just the Raiders have lost. The Broncos gave away a game last week against a really bad team. So this will be interesting. So the Chiefs already have breathing room. But, going forward here, let's go with the Colts and the Jags first. Colts 0-1. Frank Reich is 0-6 on opening days. He's had a couple of ties, 0-4-2 on opening days. I think it's time for Frank to pay up. I know he's Boomer's buddy, and he calls a good game. But this guy's had 3 different professional quarterbacks, and here we are, third one in 3 seasons. So either you're A, giving up too soon, or B, you're not really doing a good job as a coach. You have to also wonder in this game, is it time to be a little concerned about Trevor Lawrence? He missed a couple of wide open receivers the other day for touchdowns. The Colts game, though, just brutal tie, big favorite. You come out there and you tie the Texans. That was just awful. There's not much else to say about how bad that game was. But a tie is better than a loss, I guess you could say. So big game right away for the Colts and the Jags. Jags get off to an 0-2, maybe spins into an 0-3, and people are going to panic a little bit. And I know Doug Peterson's a great mind, but I don't know. Maybe Trevor got too much play. Hopefully he steps up. We'll see. But he had a really bad first year. I know you could say he didn't have anything around him, but, a lot of other guys over the years who had big expectations and everything around him, and then didn't look like that. So, another guy stepped into it a little bit like Ben Roethlisberger, but you know what? Trevor did not look good last year. He never had those games where you said, yeah, I see something here. I see that 450-yard game where he threw 4 touchdowns and then 2 touchdowns late and, came back and won a game for you. So we got to see the jury's out on Trevor. 1-0 Dolphins at the 1-0 Ravens. Big game. Dolphins trying to prove they're for real. The Ravens will find a way to get in the playoffs, and Harbaugh doing the coaching down there. Ravens was solid, probably the most impressive. They had the biggest spread of the week, and they covered obviously against the woeful Jet team. Finns won a weird game with a couple of big plays. You know, Pats had a couple of bad turnovers, and Tua's got to be more consistent. Both teams want to know if both these teams make playoffs. There's a little bit of a seeding game. There's a couple of seeding games this week that we'll talk about, and these are great games. Both teams off to a decent start. Want to know that's important. That's a fun game. So somebody's going to get out of here 2-0. Always like those games. They're not nut cutting games, which we'll get to later. We have a couple of nut cutting specials here. Pats and Steelers. Steelers are fortunate. Bengals long snapper got out, and even though he made a good snap, he just snapped it too slow. Extra point gets blocked. They lose Watt for a bunch of weeks. Looks like he's out for the season. Pats had, like I said, some really bad turnovers. Got to hope that Belichick could find a way, but the Steelers looked a little bit better than we thought. I thought it was an awful loss for the Bengals. We'll get to that later. But Pats at the Steelers, going to be fun to watch. We'll see what we get out of this game. Panthers and the Giants. Panthers lost to the Browns. Obviously, Baker had a decent game, but lost on a field goal late. Barkley looked great. Panthers didn't get it done versus the Browns. Giants got the start we needed. We said that nobody needed to get off to a better start than the New York Giants. It's the first time they won an opener in 6 years, and that's important. So nobody needed a better start, and here the Giants are 1-0 and coming in here tomorrow. But the NFL is a funny thing. So already tomorrow you got a game at home that you probably should win. And, when there's only a 17-game season, still more games here than there are pretty much the same amount of games as left in the baseball season. It gets scary because the baseball season, as you can see, is must-win games for teams. Well, there's already must-win games for football teams. When you have that few games left, there already is games where you got to step up. And the Giants here, you get a game here where it's a conference game. All right. And if you can get to 2-0, you get the Panthers to 0-2, and you start checking off boxes. And Danny Dimes didn't look that good. I don't know how the hell Saquon won Offensive Player of the Week when Justin Jefferson had 9 catches for, I think, 155 yards. That's a disgrace, but I know that everybody's rooting for Saquon. He's hasn't lived up to it. But big game tomorrow for Giant fans. We'll see how they handle that against the Panthers. I think the Panthers will make a decent showing. Again, we got to see how healthy McCaffrey is. Jets at the Browns. Well, here in New York, people have been going crazy about Coach Saleh calling out the fans and the media and telling them he's keeping receipts. And I kind of like that because the media in New York and the fans in New York are ridiculous. Jet fans constantly calling up about what we've been through. You didn't go to Vietnam, guy. What the hell have you been through? You in the Civil War? I mean, what have you been through? You watch football on your couch at 1 o'clock and you don't win a game. You went to back-to-back AFC championship games about 10 or 11 years ago. So it's not like you haven't been around there. You've been to a couple of playoff games last couple of years. Yeah, been bad. But you know what? Don't tell me what you've been through. I mean, this is a football game. So to sit there and act like, you're some person who's, having a tough time or something, give me a break. So, I mean, I like the fact that Saleh's called them out because the Jet negativity is disgusting. The Jet fan is happier losing than winning. It's like some of these fan groups that you're on, like the Met fan group is the same way. You go on these Met pages and these fans are just not happy unless they're losing. It's incredible. And then they can bitch about it. They like to bitch. That's all they do. So, Jets at the Browns. Browns 1-0. Again, they won on a late field goal. They found a way. But this is Mike White has to play for the Jets. I don't want to see goddamn sleepy Joe Flacco. Don't give me any crap. He gives you the best chance to win. That's such a damn lie. Joe Flacco sucked last year. He sucked the year before. He was great a long time ago, but he sucks now. He's lifeless. Can't be on a team that's a young team and have no life at quarterback. Mike White, the fans want to see him. Put the goddamn guy in the game and let's see what happens. Don't throw goddamn statue Joe Flacco out there. He sucks. It's time to go. Guy doesn't give a crap. Purely collecting a check at this point. Get him the hell out of there. Put Mike White in the game. And we'll find out tomorrow, where the Jets' approach is. And, Saleh's got to make an approach here and understand that White needs to be in this game. Can't be sleepy Joe Flacco. We already got one sleepy Joe in the White House. We see how that's working out. Bucks and the Saints. Already a big division game here. Tom Brady's never beaten the Saints. 1-0, both teams. Early big game. Brady 0-4 versus the Saints. Jameis threw for 200 yards in the second half as the Bucks came around and got a good win. It's always tough down there in the dome for Tom, but I just don't think it's obviously not the same staff and things of that nature. So I would say to you that the Bucks, I think, will find a way, but they weren't that impressive either. Couldn't punch the ball in the end zone. Played a hapless Cowboy team that looked totally like trash. So I'm not sure how to read into that Bucks game. And the Saints were streaky. So this should be a toss-up game, but whoever gets out of here 2-0 is in great shape. It's already one of those big games. This is a seeding game like we talked about before, and it's in division. Skins at the Lions, 1-0 versus 0-1. Skins, Wentz looked okay. Lions favored for the first time in a long time, as we said before. Detroit's going to put up some points. Hopefully that Eagle defense is a shoddy versus my Vikings on Monday night. Lions need to get a win here, though, because Campbell's a guy that I think players believe in. He's really rah-rah. He's in your face. He's difficult. He's tough. But people only take that so long, and you have to win. And that's where the pressure is to get a couple of wins, as you see that schedule on your screen there. But you have to get a couple of wins here, and you got to get off to a decent start to go 0-2 and maybe get behind one of these teams who's going to be 2-0 or something. Either the Bears or the Vikings. You're already 2 games out with 15 games left, and that's how you have to look at it. I'm sorry, it's elimination time already. You get to some of these teams 0-3, 0-4. You want to slide into that situation. There's so much pressure in the NFL to get that first one off the board. I have to think that the Lions will show up, but the Skins not bad. Wentz didn't look too bad. You got a couple of good players on defense. One of the nut-cutting games of the week for the Rams, so to speak, is the Falcon-Ram game. Rams obviously pissed off, been sitting around for 10 days, being made fun of, basically. So the Falcons are probably not in a great spot right here. So I think that's going to be tough for them. But I will tell you that the Rams are going to be a little bit pissed off. And, if they go 0-2, God forbid, I mean, that thing might blow up over there. Falcons 0-1. They're not going to much as expected of them. They can go in there and play loosey, but the Rams are going to be pissed off. 2 home games. They need to get this one tomorrow, or else they could be in trouble. He's one of those other coaches that has to be the smartest guy in the room. And he did it with the Super Bowl lead calling plays for the Falcons versus the Pats. He blew a big lead versus the freaking Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and Shanahan. You have to have Trey Lance in there. Joey G does not lose that game last week. Garoppolo does not lose that game last week. He finds a way to win because that's what Joey G does. He has him in the NFC Championship game, but we have to go with the Porsche, but the Porsche with no steering wheel like Trey Lance. That's what he is. He's a Porsche with no steering wheel so far. Maybe he turns out to be a big-time quarterback, but right now he hasn't missed a bunch of throws. I don't care how goddamn wet it is. It's a football season. We all played in the mud as kids. I don't want to hear it. So the Hawks versus the Niners, it's a division game. Niners need to get this game. There's already some pressure on them. They go 0-2. They have like a Super Bowl level defense. They go 0-2. You're ready to blow that thing up and hand the ball to Joey G. If I'm the Niners at the half and I'm not moving the ball, I'm going right to Joey. The Hawks played a good first half. Geno looked good in the first half. Second half, he threw for about 30-something yards. But like I said, the Broncos just totally mismanaged the clock, letting the game expire. How would you let 39 seconds come off the clock in that damn Bronco game? Just some of the worst clock management I've ever seen. And that's when I've seen Childress and I've seen Mike Zimmer. So I know clock mismanagement when I see it after being a Viking fan. And let 39 seconds come off the clock and then call timeout and then settle for a 64-yard field goal. How about calling a timeout right away? You stop the clock. Now you got, a minute 2 on the clock. You're 4th and 5. You call your best play. You get another 10 yards. You're in field goal range, especially with Suckup. He's a great kicker. Not Suckup. He's a great kicker. And basically, Broncos could have made it have a better shot. He was long enough at 64 yards. It's tough to ask outside. So the Broncos basically gave that game to the Hawks, but the Hawks took it, and you got to give them credit. So, how long before you hear calls for Joey G? Then we got the Cards at the Raiders. 2 teams 0-1, 2 teams that most was expected of. This is the nut-cutting game. There's a couple of nut-cutting games this week, and this is the first one. This one, both teams had expectations this year. Neither one of these teams likes to go 0-2, and someone's coming out here 0-2, and then there's going to be a lot in the media. The media is just so much more brutal today, and also at fantasy sports and talk shows, sports talk, it just made the pressure much more worse than it was in the old days growing up. Huge game for 2 supposedly good teams. The Cards look like crap. The comments after the game from Kingsbury, it sounded like we have to practice harder. Well, as a coach of 34 years myself, coach, isn't that your job to get them to practice harder? So when you're not practicing hard, you go home and you bang your head on the wall every day. We've all had seasons like that before. They just looked awful. Raiders, I told you, I thought were a little bit overrated. I know they got Devontae Adams, but that still doesn't solve all your other problems. So that's going to be a big game. That's a nut-cutting game. I'll be watching that one carefully. Bengals, boys, both 2 teams with expectations too. The Bengals looked absolutely sleepwalk, and Joe Burrow looked just lost, and yet they still should have won the game 4 or 5 different times. I know the long snapper gets hurt, but then kick gets blocked. Another kick goes wide. I mean, just atrocious game to lose at home and against a division opponent. Like I said last week, the Bengals really wanted to show me they're a special team. Come out and beat the crap out of the Steelers with really, an unknown at quarterback there. They put Brissett out there. I mean, you should have come out. You should have went after these guys. They didn't do it. I mean, not Brissett. Trubisky. Mitchell Trubisky was out there, even worse. I like Jacoby Brissett much better. Trubisky's out there. Unbelievable that you come out there McManus was on the field goal for the Broncos, by the way. And you come out there and Trubisky, who is, makes a couple of plays with his legs, but you got to win that game. And the Steelers are not good. They might find a way to win because Mike Tomlin does a solid job and the franchise has an expectation of winning. But the Bengals just gave that damn thing away. I think Mike McCarthy's already going to be on the hot seat. We know Sean Payton's sitting out there, and Jerry Jones is talking rumblings about selling the team and things of that nature. And as a Viking fan, I wanted Mike McCarthy to stay in Green Bay. Since he left, they've gone 13-3 three times in a row, and with Mike McCarthy, that hardly ever happened. It happened a couple of times, but I just thought he held that team back, and here we are. Boys, Bengals. I think the Bengals will find a way because no Dak, so the boys just look like crap. I think they're in big trouble on this season. You could see a definite 5-11, 5-12, 6-11 game season, and that's not going to get it done in Dallas. And so, NFC East wide open. Why not us? Should be the cry. Texans 0-1 at the Broncos 0-1. We talked about the Broncos' worst clock management you'll ever see in your life. I can't even think about that anymore. It was so bad watching that. It was disgusting. These guys get paid millions of dollars to think about one thing all week. Some of us, we teach and we have to think about our team, and we never manage a clock like that. That's just disgusting. Titans, Bills. Titans missed a field goal. 0-1. Bills 1-0. Titans lost, Titans last chance. You don't want to come out of here and go 0-2 already. That'd be a disaster. Bills, I think, are the real deal. Allen obviously is the real deal. He's a stud, and you can tell how good a player he is. Vikings and Eagles, really good playoff positioning game, kind of like the Finns and the Ravens game. It looks like with Dallas being crap, I think Philadelphia would probably be the favorite going forward in that division, but I don't think they're a great team either. They can get some of their key weapons to bowl it all, but the run defense is going to be the key to this game. The Eagles ran the ball really well, and the Vikings did not run the ball well. Have to make Hurts beat you. I mean, I don't even care if you have to go tight man coverage. Make Hurts do it, and just try to keep Hurts in the pocket. Hurts is a winner. He's a tough kid. And the Vikes just got to take care of the football last week. We did a great job taking care of the football. A couple of too many penalties. Gave up a little too much in the run on the ground. But if we take care of that run defense tomorrow Monday night versus the Eagles, I think we'll be in great shape. Both teams 1-0. Get to 2-0. It'll be really exciting. Vikings first chance to start 2-0 since 2016 season. So we'll hope for that. Bears at the Pack. That's a tomorrow night game. Bears are awful, but I like Fields. He plays hard. The Pack is going to be pissed off against a crappy Bears defense at home. This ain't Trey Lance playing quarterback against your Bears. I think you're going to get an angry Aaron Rodgers, and I think he's going to have a big game, but you never know. These are rival games. The Bears always play the Packers tough. A lot of times I've seen in this game, they jump out to an early lead only to fold. But I tell you, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to be in a good mood in this game. And he missed, a couple of guys dropped some balls on him last week. Watson in particular. I think Bears Pack will be a really fun game, but I think the Pack is going to be a little bit pissed off. Of course, I'll be rooting for the Bears. We want to bury the Pack as much as we can. I just think that the league overall, again, a couple of guys out thinking themselves. Taylor for the Bengals, coach for the Bronx. I thought that they both, first and goal on the one from the foot-yard line, just trying to be too creative. I mean, just take the ball and, stay hike. Russell Wilson, hike, take a step. Game, you win. But hey, people got to be the smartest guy in the room. It's happening in every sport now. You see it in baseball, you see it in basketball. It's just the same old garbage. It's always something that these guys have to prove they're the smartest guy. It's like my boy Billy Bean. I'm an A's fan, but he always has to prove he's the smartest guy. Let's just win games. I don't care how we do it, but everybody's got to prove something else. As far as like I said, some really bad losses last week. I thought that the biggest bad losses of the week, Broncos was just a terrible loss. Bengals at home, even a worse loss. Cards and the Raiders both looked like, the Raiders didn't look bad. The Cards just looked like crap. That wasn't good for them. I thought that the Colts not getting the W, just atrocious, job by the Colts. I thought that another bad loss, just the Rams, got their butt kicked, but at least they lost to a good team. But I thought that the Niners were overall awful. So some big losses by some supposed pretty good teams this week. So we're going to see who gets to 2-0. And we're going to have, wrap up, obviously, with my Vikes. We're going to have that.
You could put on your hook.
So
I was curious and decided to test Gator for myself.
The Vikings.
Pressure is constant, and it can tear away at the inside.
Vikings wrap up after the game on Monday night. We'll probably air that show late Monday night, Tuesday. Hey, John for sending in the background. Again, this is Dave Scholler, NFL Weekly. It's not like Liz Week 2022. We're on Apple, we're on Spotify, we're on our radio. Having a good time. Let us know what you think. You did a good job for sending in the background, week 2. And we'll definitely catch you down the road. We're looking forward to week 2 tomorrow.
John
Have a good day.